Okay, well, it's been a spectacular
I agree.
view of these Bodega MG wines, and now we are comfortable with this spectacular wine. How was the tour? Did you like it?
It was very interesting and very informative, and I learned a lot. I'm so surprised that the history of this bodega is incredible, no?
That's right.
Yeah, I think it's hard to believe that we're going to drink 50 years of history, isn't it?
50 years, yes.
50 years of history of the best wine.
And they've won many awards, so this is very high quality.
It's been awarded as the best wine of Spain. I mean, this week, which is fantastic.
Yeah, it was yesterday, wasn't it? So,
Very special experience.
yeah, I mean, quite unique, and
I've been amazed about that this wine has been done constantly during the last 100 years, they said. It's absolutely incredible.
That's a long history, and many things have happened in Spain, including the arrival of foreigners to live here, including me, for 20 years.
yeah, I wouldn't think a wine will last so long. 500
That is a long time.
500 years of history.
Well, most of the wines of this Fondillon, how would you pronounce it, this wine?
In my poor Spanish accent, I would say Fondillon, no?
Yeah, but that will be in Spanish.
Yeah, that will be in
Fondillon.
Spanish.
The English
The
would probably
English,
say
Fondillon?
Fondillon.
Fondillon. Fondillon.
But that wouldn't be correct.
Well, but it sounds well, also, I would say, yeah.
But we need to learn the
Exactly,
language
of
and
course.
improve our
Yeah.
pronunciation
Yeah.
and understand the history,
Exactly.
and then you can enjoy the country more.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But with the accent, I think with the Fondillon.
Fondillon.
But it's not easy. That's my excuse.
Yeah, yeah. It happens with our name. It's not easy neither for them to pronounce. It's double L, and
Yeah,
And they
that's a
say
little
they
bit
need to be
complicated.
like in these barricas, it's like minimum 10 years. Is in this bodega, they say that as a internal protocol, they say that minimum 20 years, which is mostly the years that you have been in Spain.
Yes, it is. That's right. I've had many experiences over those years. But now Spain, I think, produces a lot of really high quality wine at the top end of the spectrum,
that's right.
but also the cheaper wines.
Yeah,
So
Well-
there's something for everybody.
yeah. But I think now the quality value for money for in wines in Spain is very, very good. I mean, you could have just ordinary wine, reasonable, but very good, and you could have even more expensive wine.
Well, I agree. I'm lucky. One of the activities of my social group is wine tasting. So we get around to quite a lot of bodegas, but this is my first time here, and I'm very impressed.
Yeah, and
And
actually,
the quality is fantastic.
the bodega just said that they're trying to keep all sort of drinking wine for everybody. So that's what she
Well,
said.
it is an option for everyone. I think the wine is like an analogy for life in Spain. There's a wine for everyone, and there's also a life in Spain for everyone.
That's right.
Whatever you want to do, wherever you want to be, there are options.
That's good. Well, let's cheers together then.
Well, cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Or should we say salud as well?
Salud.
Salud.
So, Rob, you decided 20 years ago to come to Spain. And what was your first thought about coming to Spain? And what was your first experience on coming to Spain?
I think at the time I was looking for a new life. Many things in my life in England had ended, my career and other personal attachments. So I came looking for a new life in a new country. The 20 years have gone by very quickly. I can't believe it. I've had many experiences, and I'm glad to say most of them enjoyable. I've lived in many different places, I've met a lot of different people, and had a lot of experiences. And also I've travelled quite a lot in Spain. Spain is so big, it's so diverse. I mean, you can have the mountains up in Picos de Europa, up in the north. You can have the heat of Andalusia, the crazy culture of Barcelona with Gaudi, the culture of Madrid and all the fantastic historical buildings in Madrid. There is so much to do and see and experience. And I have a fantastic lifestyle here. You don't necessarily need a lot of money.
Exactly.
I have a very healthy lifestyle. I have a lot of exercise in the local mountains where I live now, a lot of good friends, and I enjoy it immensely. Yeah. So, despite Brexit, we will carry on.
Well, actually, because of Brexit now that you mentioned, I think a lot of people are making the move. They're just saying now is the right time to go. And then we are very busy, Pedro, aren't we?
That's right.
With all these immigration business now and getting them sorted. And but I don't think that a lot of people are very scared to come. They are coming and they just want to do it before Brexit. I don't know if you experience, because you read a lot and in the forums, you are in the forums, so you know the atmosphere.
I use the forums on the internet to exchange information and to see what's going on. And I certainly get the impression a lot of people are trying to arrive before the Brexit cut-off date. But even if they don't, it's still an option to come.
Exactly.
That's right.
People came to live in Spain before the EU existed. There's been a long history of foreign settlers in Spain, a very long history if we look back a long way. So it's not going to be impossible. But yeah, I'm sure a lot of people are trying to come now and do the necessary documentation before the final cut-off. But it won't be impossible next year.
No, of course not.
Let me just say one anecdote that I read recently, and it was why Costa Blanca is named Costa Blanca. And it was the pilots from British Airways from 1957, when they came to the Alicante airport, they were saying like, this is the white sand and the beaches and and the village, they are white on the coast. And they said, well, this is the white coast, white coast, and then it translated into Spanish, it's Costa Blanca.
Well, I've never heard that before.
And I recently read it, and I presume it should be correct, but it was the British Airways pilots that they were mentioning this area as Costa Blanca.
Well, I've never heard that before, so that's interesting. That's something else I've learnt today. I mean, I think it's a fantastic area to live in the Alicante region. We've got the beaches, we've got the mountains, we've got a great infrastructure of roads, high-speed transport, the airport, tram system, you name it. And a great selection of environments in which to live. You can live in big towns, you can live in villages, you can live on golf resorts, on the beach. There's something for everyone.
I think we've got a big variety here that suits everybody in a way. Even if you come, some people will come with families, some people will come retiring, some people will come just to do sports, golf courses, a lot of people. So I think there is room for everybody. And then
I think what people need to do is try and decide what their priorities are.
That's right.
Now, if they're younger, maybe work, it's going to be schools for the children. Older people now, like myself, in retirement or approaching retirement, may be looking for larger houses with gardens to spend their time, in social groups. They may want to live on the beach. I mean, it's a fantastic area for the beach, some of the best beaches in Spain. I've lived on the beach and enjoyed that experience. But now, as you know, because you helped me organise the purchase of my house, I now live in a small village, and I'm very happy with that. I can leave my house, be walking in the mountains within 5 minutes, and that for me is perfect.
You've been actually, Rob, you've been in 3 different areas, haven't you? You've been in, or probably a bit more. So you've got to know even the very Spanish, the first step to, I think it was Torrevieja, your first step, was it?
I lived in Torrevieja, which is a town of 100,000 people, so that was an interesting experience. Whilst they built the house I bought off plan, so I then left Torrevieja, went out to what they call here an urbanisation, what the Brits might know as a housing estate, and I had my detached villa with my swimming pool, and I enjoyed that experience. But then I started a business, and I needed to move back into the town centre, so I went back into a larger flat in Torrevieja. So I had that experience of living in a town. Then when I retired, I moved out to Playa San Juan Beach, which is the beach resort of Alicante, which again was a fantastic experience. That's a beautiful place to live. And then for personal reasons, I decided to move up and be near friends with a house in a small village. So I've seen a lot of different environments, and I've enjoyed them all.
And you are up in the mountain, aren't you?
Well, I am. I can leave my house and be walking in the mountains with friends and neighbours, or sometimes just by myself when you want downtime, if you like. But I can get in the car and in 10 minutes be down on the coast. So I really think, you know, I've got the best of both worlds, which is available to everyone, of course.
I know.
Well, one of the things that people firstly search is, I mean, whenever they think about moving to Spain, it's about property. Or if I buy a property or rent a property, or which area should I move on? What will you recommend to them?
That is, it's a big question. I think it needs research, but I think people also need to try and make some sort of list of what their priorities are. Again, based on maybe their time of life, whether they need the schools and the work, or whether they're looking for retirement activities. But I would recommend that people make a list of what they think their priorities are, whether it's to be near a town, in a town, near a school, near work, near a hospital, near the beach, near a golf course, whatever they think their priorities are. Whether they want to do a lot of driving or no driving, they've got to live near facilities more. And when they've got those sort of ideas sorted out in their head, then they can match their requirements, I think, to areas. And then they can find the perfect place that meets their needs.
I think that's the key.
And the key thing, I think, again, to remember, something which I'm very convinced of, there is something for everyone, because there are a lot of environments, even in the Alicante region. If you think the Alicante region is going to be too warm for you, then you can make it a little bit farther north. That's right. Spain is a big country, it's very diverse. There is something here for all people, at whatever time of life and whatever their requirements. It can be found.
And actually, in the Alicante Costa Blanca region, is a privilege. We've got now the weather. The weather, I think, is excellent. It was raining the whole Spain this week, and except here. Basically, here is warm.
We
still,
are very lucky. I think just
25.
the geographical location of Alicante, we're far enough away from the Atlantic, so that doesn't bother us. We're not so far north that anything coming from the north gets us. Here is perfect. It's hot summers.
Yeah.
Very good autumns and springs, and a very mild and fairly short winter. And the winter makes a change. You can get your winter clothes out. And just
it's also good to have a winter time, yeah.
But I personally am not a lover of the cold anymore. After 20 years, I'm happy when it's warmer. But I get to the winter and I enjoy it. You do different activities, different clothes, different times of day, you're in and out the house, and it's livable.
And now, actually now, Rob, with internet, because probably when you came, internet was not so much installed in Spain or probably in the world, or I don't know, 2020 was not very much.
20 years ago, I think there was internet, but I mean, there was nowhere near the volume and amount of information available that people have to them now. But I would advise people to be careful. Just because something is on the internet doesn't mean it's true. If people are going to rely on the internet for their research, I would advise them to really use authorized, professional, up-to-date websites.
That's right.
From reliable, guaranteed sources. Because quite often this information can be either incorrect when it was posted or it's got out of date.
That's right.
So don't rely totally on the internet.
Well, it happens to our market. I mean, it's like people say, oh, I've read this, I've read that, or this is true, and they say, no, that is not correct.
That's true.
And that should be done this way. And I mean, all these rumors are found now on the internet. A lot of rumors, which some of them are true, but some of them are not. So it's, as I agree with you, that is. And what do you think about the connection? And internet is working very well, because now a lot of families are, and people is working at home.
That's true.
So right now we need to adapt to that situation. It's in Spain and in this area specifically. The internet, I assume that works well.
I think the availability of internet here, there's very good coverage. I mean, I live in a small village now of under 1,000 people. We've now got fibre optic in the village. The system I currently use operates at 20 megabits, but I'm going to move over to the fibre optic system, which I think has a speed option of up to 600. That's probably too much for my requirements, but I'll probably take the 100 megabit service, which is going to cost me about €2 a day. I was talking to a friend of mine last week. He's taken a 600 megabit service. He lives in a household with an 18-year-old son who's a bit of an internet geek. He needs that speed and that capacity. But it is generally available everywhere at what I think is very reasonable prices. So the internet is not a problem in Spain. The other example I have of that, I was walking in Extremadura, which is, as you know, on the west of Madrid, over on the Portuguese border. It's known as one of Spain's quieter provinces, and yet even when I was walking in the hills of Extremadura, I had very good 4G coverage on my mobile phone.
Okay.
Because I think the Spanish government are making sure that small villages have this service so that people don't have to leave the village. They don't want to see the villages become depopulated.
It's like when you were talking about health. I remember you saying even in the villages, the health centres are still there, available.
They are. I mean, again, I go back
Even
to
in your
my village. I mean, it's just one example of many, but obviously one that I understand and it is applicable to me. Under 1,000 people, we have our own health centre. Now, admittedly, it's only open Monday to Friday, so if there's any situations or emergencies at the weekend, then you will need, it's only 10 minutes away
to the hospital, yeah.
to a 24-hour emergency centre. The other thing that's important, I think, is the quality and the availability of the health service. It's so modern. I mean, I access it with a digital card. Now all the prescriptions are contained on the card, which I take to the pharmacy. It's gone paperless.
That's right.
All my records are on the computer. They're available throughout Spain. So if I am travelling and have a problem, my records can be instantly accessed from any region. It's very modern, well resourced. And I know from friends I've got who have had serious operations. Fortunately, I haven't. I've only had minor things to deal with. But I know friends who've had major operations and they've been very happy and satisfied with the quality and speed of the service.
Yeah, most of our clients are always very impressed with the health system in Spain.
This is what
I
we
mean,
say.
probably we don't appreciate it good
exactly.
I think the Spanish take it for granted because you probably haven't had that option to compare.
Yeah,
Exactly,
No.
you cannot compare, really.
Yeah.
That's right.
But it's what we receive from our clients. They say, no, it's absolutely fantastic, and it's being very professional and rapid, efficient. I mean, we are receiving all the time this kind of words about the health system in Spain. Yeah.
Rob, what about, what was the main difficulties you had or you could find when you moved to Spain? I mean, obviously the language barrier it could be one. Probably in this area, a lot of people speak English, so you could get by.
They do. I mean, obviously over the years now, in the areas which have got a lot of local foreigners and Brits, or maybe Germans and Dutch, who tend to speak English as the language of the Spanish, there's more English spoken in this region. But I don't think that's an excuse for us not to make the effort and learn at least the basics. That's probably a mistake I made. I came fairly young and I should have probably spent more time and effort to really understand the language. Of course, if you make the move to somewhere like Madrid, that's really a very Spanish-speaking area, so you're thrown in at the deep end and you have to speak the language. But obviously there are so many advantages with speaking the language. I think you can get so much more out of day-to-day life and have less problems. But don't let it put you off. If you want to come, take it one step at a time, and you can pick up the language and still be happy here.
Yeah, one of the main difficulties probably I've noticed from clients is choosing the wrong team to work with. You know what I'm talking about. You just move to Spain, you fall in love with the house of your dreams, and
That's
then
right.
probably you don't use an independent lawyer, and then you don't use proper people, translators, and conflict of interest I've noticed, and I think this is something that we should always make sure they understand to protect themselves.
I made some mistakes. I think I saw the blue sky and the sun and got carried away and thought everything would be easy to organise. But I would recommend anyone that wants to relocate now, as I say, to make the list of their requirements, do some research, but then it's essential that you do have independent, professional legal advice. If you're going to purchase a house, it's a big decision, it's a big investment. And sometimes you can be advised by maybe an estate agent or maybe a builder if you're buying new. to use certain people, and maybe your interests are not best served by someone who is not totally independent.
We are now having the feeling, of course, that families are moving, contacting us, that we are like a very important connection point, as when someone is moving to Spain, or relocation family or relocation business, at the end there are some legal issues like immigration and taxes, or buying a property or renting a property. So those issues at the end is made by lawyers, by solicitors, all this advice. And we are receiving more and more this kind of demand. Yeah.
Well, I would, excuse me, I would advise people to take professional advice and to build a relationship which hopefully can be a long-standing relationship for all the future issues, for tax declarations, for making wills, any inheritances, and all the things that crop up in life. If you can establish a good relationship, I think in the early days, it will help you make sure that your purchase or your rental contract, whatever you decide to do, is professional, legally binding, and in your best interests, and then continue that relationship for all the future issues that you're going to have to deal with in your new life and as you settle down.
A good family lawyer probably will help you all throughout. And we're having a lot, Pedro, tax planning demand. So this is very good, Rob, because I don't know whether in the old days that you've been through, experimented the situation of doing tax planning. Now people are being prepared, and we are so happy because that's the best way to sort problems out before you even come, isn't it?
Well, I think the thing that this always, when we discuss tax, the anecdote I always remember in my early years was going to a solicitor somewhere on the Guatemala, I believe, and explaining that I now lived here and thought I should be declaring for tax, and I'd got some papers, and he looked at them and just tore them up and threw them away. Said, no, don't bother with that. You don't need to do that. And I walked out feeling rather confused and actually probably breaking the law. So there was, I think in my early days here, there was a very sort of, should we say blasé, a very attitude to these sort of things. But nowadays, I like to do things by the book. I know that I'm not going to receive any nasty knocks on the door, any letters through the post, and any worries. So I do my annual tax declaración de renta, the annual tax return, and I think the taxes here are very reasonable for the quality of life and the benefits I get from the system. I have no complaints.
Actually, a lot of expats now are just going into the situation of having their health insurance. Probably, well, you've been working in Spain, so probably you've been registered as well as an employee. You had the health. But a lot of people are coming now, and they're having even private health. The experience is good as well. Health
good as well,
private and public, both of them are very, very good. And I think people are happy.
People are extremely happy with the private health and with these hospitals. And most of the hospitals right now would say that they have like a translation service. So which is, of course, the barrier of the communication is eliminated in mostly. But yeah, what we receive from our clients is that it's fantastic. I mean, health system at the end, public and private, it works very well. Yeah.
Well, I did have private health before I got my access to the national health system, and it's available. If I suddenly want to do something cosmetic or something special, you can always turn to the private.
Exactly.
But the national health is adequate. But as you say, the private is there, which some people will need to acquire before they have access to national, depending on their personal circumstances. In Alicante, we have a good range of private hospitals, and I know the service is very good at quite a reasonable cost. It's not quite as expensive as people might imagine.
I don't find it expensive at all, because at the end the coverage that it's got to be the same range of services that the public system provides, because a requirement to get your permanent resident or your resident. So to get your residencia, you need to have that insurance or the public. So you either register or you either just pay the private. But I've been using both, and I'm quite happy with both. They've been very efficient, actually.
Yeah, I'd have a small skin operation, and that was before I was in the public system. That was done privately, and it was very professionally done. The insurance paid out and covered it, and I was very pleased with the service. But as you say, it is mandatory that people have the health cover for Residencia. So if they can't access the public, and there's a lot of factors how that works, then private is the way to go.
And Rob, what is, I think we always key to try to help people to provide advice before they even have a problem. So now going back to the UK, what would you tell these people if they're thinking about coming here? What will be pretty much the advice from Rob Innis, from an expat?
Well, I wouldn't...
Because you've got a lot of knowledge of everything now.
Well, over 20 years, you accumulate knowledge and experiences. Some people may be concerned that because of the situation the Brits have got with Brexit and the door is closed. I do not believe that, as I said earlier. No. The rules and regulations have changed, but it's still going to be possible. I would still say come. I still believe there is a fantastic quality of life here. There are many, many opportunities, many locations in which to live and enjoy a healthy lifestyle, and to explore Spain and to travel. And I think the quality of life for me, I think is incredible. And the cost of living is still very reasonable.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's talk about, this specific area, about the White Coast, Costa Blanca, and what other areas that you like? I mean, you like to visit bodegas, but also you like to walk, hiking, or visit castles. For example, I know that many clients, they like to watch castles as a historic. What do you like about the area, this Costa Blanca?
For me, there's so much to do and see if you want to get involved. I like with friends to explore either the mountains and the history. I've got friends in Madrid, so I like to explore Madrid. But locally, we spend a lot of time walking the mountains, doing wine tasting, also joining with our Spanish friends in the local culture of Spanish fiestas. So there is a range of activities if you want to be involved. There are many, many opportunities to do these things in this area.
Actually, do you use public transport from your area when you go? I think there is a tram or something like that.
I do. Well, I have today. I drove to obviously the tram doesn't reach up in the mountains to my village, so I came down in the car. I parked the car at the tram station, and then I've done the journey into Alicante on the tram. The tram is a fantastic system.
Yeah.
That's another bonus of Alicante.
Yeah, that's
which
great.
I know they're thinking of expanding out to the airport and beyond.
Well, then let's cheer for a great experience you had. And
here's to the next 20 years if I'm lucky.
Yeah, we'll try to do another meeting in 20 years, hopefully. And for the best wine and best place.
Very lucky to be here.
It's been a pleasure to share this
50
spectacular
years.
wine with you
Wow.
guys. And it's a 50 years
50
old,
years of history, Rob.
History.
Just in our taste here.
Muy rico, no?
Muy rico.
Very rich. Very rich.
Very rich.
Muy rico.
Very rich. Wow, that's great.
It's a spectacular wine. I mean,